Mhm. All right, if you're just joining us right now, go ahead and you go put your name and where you're located in the comment section. We have more people coming in right now, so we're going to get started in about 5 minutes. So grab some coffee, go to the bathroom, whatever you need to do, and we're going to get started in about 5 minutes. So if you are just joining us right now, go ahead and put your name, where you're from, in the chat box. Love to see where you guys are coming in from all over the country. Hey, Steve, how you doing? Awesome, awesome. You getting a lot of snow up there? Hi, Ryan from North Carolina. Not far from
Ryan,
you, Kenndrick.
yeah, but say Ryan, where are you in North Carolina? Let me know. Put it in the chat.
Oh, we got Scott Green from Raleigh Durham Blue Team.
Scott Green, my man. What's up, man?
So Ryan's from Charlotte. You work for Penny, don't you? Jeff Gregory from Surf Pro Chattanooga. No, Jeff. How you doing, Jeff?
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning.
Oh, Ryan, awesome. Penny is they're incredible owners. I know you guys are growing a lot out there. So good to see you guys. Andrea Clark from Philadelphia. I've been to Philly in a while. I love their cheesesteaks, though. It's something about the bread with the cheesesteaks. I don't know what it is, but
man, it's all about the cheese. You gotta get it right. It's all about
the cheese or the bread. I thought it was always
cheese,
bread.
man. The cheese. You gotta have the right milk ratio to the cheese, man. But
oh, we got Patrick Haskin from Surf Pro Lacrosse. He sounds familiar. Do you know him?
Oh yeah, Pat's my guy. That's my dude.
So yeah, and Steve, by the way, Kenndrick is up in Ebensburg, Indiana County, up in kind of that northeast corridor. So
okay. Well, glad to have you on. Appreciate you guys coming out and spend a little time with us.
Awesome. We're going to let a few more people join in. So if you're just joining us right now, go ahead and put your name, where you're from, in the chat box, and we're going to go get started in about 3 minutes. It's getting cold across the country right now. What's it like where you're at today, Kenndrick? We just dropped from 70 to 30 degrees in 24 hours.
You know, I don't know, because it's been pretty chilly. This with the northeastern cold front, just kind of, we haven't been getting too much snow. It has been snowing consistently, but not too bad. But it's definitely cold. My heat is definitely cranking for sure.
All right. Hey, Jed from Black Dog Systems, Norman, Oklahoma. I used to work with Jed a long time ago. So, Jed, I need to catch up with you. It's been a while. So,
Charlotte. Okay. Charlotte's in the building. I'd like to see.
All right. Lori works with Ryan. So, they both work for Penny Benkesser. Awesome franchise in Charlotte. They're growing extremely fast, too, especially over the last few years.
Stephanie says she thinks he's in a train. You might have been. Yeah. You never know. We try to make my rounds around. So glad you're here, though. Thank you. Appreciate you.
All right. And if you're just joining us, go ahead and put your name in the chat box. And we're going to go ahead and get started in just a few minutes. I'm going to go ahead and put a poll on the screen real quick for you guys. It's basically just asking, why do you believe most salespeople fail? And I ran a poll on LinkedIn recently, and I'll show you the results in just a second. But just go ahead and put your answers. I'm going to have a few polls that pop up throughout the presentation as well. So I'm just curious to see what you guys, as either sales managers, owners, or sales reps, think the reason that most salespeople fail, especially in the restoration industry. That's either, lack of education, lack of consistency, not having the will or determination, or just the lack of general accountability. Like, what are you supposed to be doing? Are you being held accountable? But more importantly, are you being held accountable to yourself? So you guys are kind of all over the place with the answers right now, but one of the biggest ones is that you guys are picking right now is lack of consistency. So that's definitely very common.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started in about 1 minute. So if you're just signing in, please put your name and where you're from in the chat box. We'd love to see where you guys are coming in from around the country. Oh, Steven, you met Steven actually, Kenndrick. He was in Chattanooga with us. He was really tall. But yeah, he was up in Ebensburg, so he was down there. I remember that now. So
we have to get him on after this and just have chat up a little bit.
Yeah, that was a cool group, just hanging out with everybody that week. So it'll be good.
Sure.
Steven, I heard you're doing really well up there. So for my team, so we got Doug from Denver. I've met Doug a while ago.
Okay.
How you doing, Doug? All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started here in just a second. So you can see from the poll, the majority of you picked lack of consistency. I do think there is a critical value to all these different areas, and they're all equally important. But lack of consistency is what I commonly see when I've managed sales teams and so forth. So I definitely think you guys are hitting some good points there. We also got Jamie Shelley from Nashville. He's kind of a legend in the Serve Pro world. Jamie, thanks for coming on. Jamie, I'll be honest, Jamie's one of the guys that taught me a lot about commercial restoration, and he was one of the original ERTs or large loss teams in the Serve Pro system. So he has a lot of valuable knowledge. We got Bob from Canton, Ohio, Veronica from First Team, and SoCal. That's where I want to be right now.
Yeah, you and me both.
So. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. So my name is Sean Michael Lewis. I'm here with Kenndrick, Luckett, Epps, and we are with Tier Level. Most of you know us. We've engaged before. Some of you were meeting for the first time. Kenndrick joined our team last year, particularly in a program called Tier Level Elite, where we help with remote sales management, developing sales managers, just a lot of the issues that a lot of restoration companies have had in terms of getting results from their sales team. But today we're going to kind of talk about the 3 pillars for successful sale. And these are more high level areas. We are going to be doing more webinar series throughout the year where we bring in different experts in more particular areas. But this is kind of like the basic foundations that are needed for any team to thrive in sales in general, regardless of what industry you're in. Some of you are in textile cleaning. It's all very relevant in terms of what we're trying to accomplish. What we are going to do over the next few months is kind of expand in detail with actual actionable practices that we can be doing in different verticals and different segments in this industry. So we're very excited that you guys are on here today. We are going to be doing more follow-ups. We are going to offer any opportunities. If you guys want to do a quick one-on-one with me and Kenndrick at the end, we'll just let you click a button and we'll send out some times for you guys to do that as well, because every market is uniquely different. We are very strategy driven based on the market, obstacles that you might be having in your market, and so forth. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and let Kenndrick take over and get started here, and we're going to kind of bounce back and forth. So if you're just coming in, put your name, where you're from in the chat box, and we will have some time for questions and answers at the end of the presentation.
Yeah, appreciate the intro, Sean. I definitely appreciate it. Thank you guys for taking the time out. So let's just get right to it. So the 3 pillars for successful sales, and what we've been able to see from over the last year, and really being able to track the data, that it really does come down to determination, consistency, and accountability for the main pieces to it. How many of you all out there who have either hired a salesperson and thought they were going to be the best person ever, and it just didn't pan out for whatever reason, right? And sometimes that can be for the lack of education. That could be for them not being able to have the drive, or having the ups and downs that may happen in the sales cycle. Everybody knows that this is usually a pretty difficult area to succeed in, but it really takes the consistency to be able to be there. While also a lot of individuals don't have the accountability, the back end portion to bring that to the table. Where's the data? What are you making the decisions based off of? Are these strategic moves, or are you just doing something out of emotion? And these are a lot of things that we like to really hone in and dive into a little bit deeper. So if you've had a sales rep that you just thought was going to be amazing, it just didn't work out, please put that in the chat, because we want to know some of you guys' experiences yourselves as well. Because like you said, every market is a little different, but we've seen that over the course of a period of time, there has to be a cultural fit as well as a determination from that person that's going to work out to really really be the best for the company in the long run. So these are some of the things that we just want to crack down on and really be able to look at. Sean, take it away.
All right, yeah. So hold on one second. I'm just actually moving the screens around. Can you see my screen, Kenndrick?
I can.
Okay. Yeah. So
Beautiful.
like Kenndrick just said, there's three pillars for successful sales. And really, when you build your sales strategy and your sales plan, you have to really focus on these 3 points. The first one is determination. You have to want it. If you don't have that drive and that hunger to continue to learn and expand your knowledge base, you're really not going to have the energy to follow everything else that comes in place with that. So, a big area of this is really comes down to how are you continuing to educate yourself? As the CEO and leader of my company, and Kenndrick can attest to this as well, we are constantly reading books, watching influential videos on YouTube or online, on different webinars like this, even for ourselves. And there's so much knowledge out there that is free and at your disposal that there's really no excuse for why you can't learn something you want to learn. We're not living in the 90s and 80s and beyond where you had to buy every book, you had to pay to go to an actual seminar. Information has become so much more accessible to us. And what does that look like for you? I mean, there's one way where your company kind of mandates and provides training, but what are you doing to pick up that next book for $15, $20 or jump on YouTube and watch TED Talks? How are you expanding your knowledge base in your mind? I can tell you, if you ever think you have arrived, you are grossly underestimating your potential of where you could be going. So that determination of wanting it, to want to hit a certain goal, to want to sell $1 million in the restoration industry, you have to want that. You have to mentally be prepared and mentally train yourself to get there. Consistency. What systems and processes do you have that are allowing you to do things over and over consistently? And we're going to talk about some stats that really put this into perspective, because if you're not doing the same thing consistently, you're not really gauging yourself for any type of results or success. And again, that can go both ways. You might be doing things consistently that aren't working. But when you have data and you have repetition that I've done this 7, 8, 9, 10 times and I'm not getting any result, then we can start to make some changes for that. And accountability. I mean, most people really, they love to throw out the word micromanagement when they hear the word accountability. And I can tell you right now, from the best athletes in the world to the best leaders and the best companies in the world, they all have accountability. It's not a negative thing. It's to keep you on track for where you want to be. So if you have the will, you have the goals of where you want to be, you're willing to be consistent with the right activity and not the wrong activity, and you have a group or an infrastructure that holds you accountable to that, that is going to be the basis for getting to that success.
And a little bit to that point as well, when it comes to the determination, I like to kind of reference that back to culture, right? Because sometimes we always look at the reps or something that's outside affecting, but what are we doing inside of our actual franchises or our businesses that we're doing? What's going on? Is there something that's driving people every day to be better? Or is this something where people are just, going through the motions sometimes? I would like for people to first look inward and say, what is the culture here? And then when you go towards the consistency, then what metrics are you looking at? Is there something that has something to be able to show what's working and what's not, which then rolls over to the accountability? Okay, if you measure your metrics, okay, are we then pushing that further? Are we pushing the gun to as far as we can to really maximize our opportunities? Or if someone fails at something, are we letting it just wash over and sweep it underneath the rug? Or are we then going back towards the consistency portion of the metrics and seeing why they failed, and if it could have been something that could have been circumvented before? And if so, what are the things we're going to make changes for the next 2 to 3 months out? These are the things that people aren't doing on a regular basis to really be able to help develop their salespeople. Sometimes they throw them to the wolves, and sometimes they need to be brought back, educated, give it a little bit of support, and then be able to go back out there.
Absolutely. And that's why I really like this poll right here. I just wanted to kind of get a feel for how much personal training are you doing for yourself, whether it's with your company or whether it's on your own will. And this can be anything from joining a webinar like this. I mean, just spending an hour, half hour of your day or your week or month, even if it's just once a month, you're adding more knowledge to your potential. And that's really what I want to see. And many of you are easily picking more than 6 times a year. And this can be as simple as a book, podcast, webinar. I mean, there's just so much information out there. And if any of you are interested in what me and Kenndrick listen to and what we research, a lot of times just text me, and I'll make sure you have my email address as well at the end of this presentation. But I love sharing things that I'm learning, and I love sharing that with other people. If you don't follow me on LinkedIn, I typically will reshare, repost, things like that. And sometimes it can be just 5 minutes of information that just really hits home. So Kenndrick, kind of go through the determination. I love some of these facts right here that kind of put it into perspective that as it relates to sales.
Yeah, if you want to go over to the next slide, determination. It says right here, the continuous training gives 50% net higher for sales reps, right? And so that's just saying, what are you putting back into the value of that person, right? So if you, let's see how much. Okay, great. So a lot of you are actually going out there, finding different opportunities, which is awesome because it shows that you do have the determination. But do you have something that's actually placed out? Do you have an actual goal sheet or objectives? What are you doing on a day-to-day basis to show that you have that determination? And, it can't just be a feeling. It has to be something that's actually notional, where it's drivable. It's actually something you can actually back test and show that, these are the things that are working, right? So those individuals who are actually out there putting it more into their team, putting more investments into what they actually have going on, those are the ones who actually tend to do better, right? Because they have the support to be pushed further and not be allowed to get stagnant in some of the ways that another sales rep who might be just going through emotions has or takes on every day, right? And next, you have to want it, but where are you wanting it from, right? How many of you guys have a actual goal that's 10% higher, 15%, 20% higher than last year, right? Are you guys going over this with you guys' sales unit to say, hey, this is what we did, and these are the areas that we were not the best in. How can we, evolve that into one of our weaknesses into our strengths? The determination factor has to be something that almost is a revolving cycle in itself to push each and every individual through the next phase of getting the job done to the best of your abilities, to the highest quality. A lot of times you may either segment and look at the administration side and the sales side, and then also there's a whole nother side when it comes to text crews and that whole nation. No, there has to be everybody involved in the movement in a coherent way where the whole entire determination factor is pushed towards, from the lowest of the low to the highest of the high, where everyone feels as though there's something they're moving towards and why.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm kind of going back and forth with the sharing feature right here. Kenndrick, can you see the full screen real quick?
Yeah, it just has the poll results still on it, but we're still good to go. Consistency. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So you can see the consistency on there right now?
Yeah, it just has the poll results above it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to get into consistency because this is one of the areas that on the LinkedIn poll, which we had over 200 people.
No, there has to be everybody involved in the. Yeah, it just has the poll results above it. Get the playback.
Because this is one. Hold on, we have on the LinkedIn poll. The live stream is sorry, the live stream is cutting over. So, yeah. But yeah, let me get back to consistency. Sorry about that. We just had a little technical glitch there. But when it comes to consistency, this was the number one area that many of you said that you agree on is one of the reasons most salespeople fail. And when you really start pulling the data, and this is data that is widespread, consistent data across the sales industry. So not just restoration, but regardless of what vertical you're in or what type of industry you're in. These numbers are very important. And I want you to really jot them down, write them down. I will be sending a copy of this out via PDF if you registered for this webinar, so you'll have it. But 92% of all customer interactions happen over the phone. How uncomfortable is it for most of you talking on the phone today in 2022? I mean, think about that. I mean, this is something that if you were working in the early 2000s, 90s, 80s, or any time frame before the internet really became a thing and cell phones became more accessible, we rely so much on email, text messaging, and I mean, just think about when somebody calls you sometimes and you just cringe at the fact that another human being is calling you. But it still comes down to the fact that 92% of all customer interactions are still happening by the phone. And I can tell you, with different vendors and even as my company, that one-on-one humanizing connection is a very big deal. It takes an average of 8 cold calls attempts to reach a prospect. So many of you in the restoration industry, how many times have you been to a property manager, insurance agent, a hotel, a university, and you've been there one time, got no result, 2 times, no result, 3 times, maybe find out who you need to talk to, still no result, and then you give up after the second, third try. This is saying right here that it takes an average industry nationwide of 8 cold calls to reach a prospect. 30 to 50% of all sales go to the vendor that responds first. How are you prioritizing when your phone rings? Are you picking it up right away? Is your company addressing that right away, or is it just going to a call center? You have to understand, especially in this industry, it is very time-based. If somebody has a loss, somebody has a question, and you don't answer your phone, they are going to call someone else. And that's really where I have seen this over and over, especially working with ServPro in the franchise model inside on the ground. We've gotten calls from from companies we weren't even marketing to just because their preferred provider didn't pick up the phone. 80% of sales require 5 follow-up calls after the first meeting. 44% of sales reps, almost half, give up after 1 follow-up. So they have a great meeting, they follow up, no response because that prospect might be busy. The salesperson thinks they're not interested, they give up, and they never reapproach that opportunity. So what this is saying, and what most of you are saying, is consistency in giving up too early is a major factor in why we're not seeing success. Kenndrick?
Yeah. So 91% of clients or people we've dealt with said that they will refer, right? They have no problem at all referring that you guys' service out or whatever it may be, but they say only 11% actually ask. So look at the disparity in that, right? So if it's 11% that's actually asking for, how many of you guys out there feel as though you ask on a regular basis, not just when it feels good, not when you think you have a good interaction, but how many of you feel like you're on a consistent basis actually asking for that referral? Because the opportunity is out there. We spend a lot of time trying to always obtain new clients, right? But a lot of times it's a lot more beneficial for us just to keep the clients that we have happy and in our own ecosystem where they know if anything happens, we're trusted service providers and they will love to go with us. It's not something where we have to, reinvent the wheel, but a lot of times we feel as though we do, because what Sean just said, 3, 4, 5 times trying to go after that COI, and it's like, oh, we're not getting anywhere, we're going to cut it. You were right there at the goal line. You quit on yourself. You guys have to have some type of follow-up mechanism or follow-up strategy where if you feel as though you're not getting anywhere, instead of just giving up completely, pivot. Let's figure out a different way, a more strategic way of being able to engage with those clients in a manner which may push them over the hump to be able to actually interact with you guys on another level, right? It's something that we all have struggled with in the past, but it's something that where if you just bring it up to the forefront of your mind, it's like, oh, okay, I now know that, I'll have a drip campaign for emails. Oh, I may have, if I haven't touched a client in 20, 30 days, I may make sure I have a recurring cycle or something like that. And having a CRM that reminds me. It's all these things that the technology is in the forefront of everything we're doing today. So it's something there for that can help you guys in feeling as though if you're dropping the ball or you're missing up. It's not that. You guys have to just continue to push forward a little bit. And that goes back to our last page when it comes to determination, where determination and consistency go hand in hand. How many of you guys are giving up on yourselves right when you feel like it? You have to make sure we're using our time the best as we can. Sean?
Yeah, and Andrea asked a question. Can you repeat?
I'm sorry.
80% of sales require. I'll revisit that. So 80% of sales require at least five follow-up calls after the first meeting. And what we were basically saying is you have a meeting, you've been working time over time to get that first meeting, you still have to be consistent with that follow-up, because a lot of times the meeting can be great. You follow up, even if it's right away with an email or a phone call, they don't answer, they don't respond because maybe they're just busy. This happens to me all the time. I have a great meeting and then I get back into the shuffle of work, and that person that I was trying to work with reaches out to me, and sometimes it's 2, 3, 4 more times before I actually respond, just because of the busy nature of what I do day in and day out. So it's not personal. It's not something that they didn't like what you said. There's a consistency measure that goes into that will eventually bring that success for you. But if you give up, and there's no opportunity at that point.
Right, which goes right into the next slide, which is the 80-20 rule. We've all heard, anybody who's dealt in business at all, if you went to business school, anything, we've all heard about the 80-20 rule. And it sounds so common sense, yeah, whatever. But when you really look down and really pay attention to the 80-20, 80% of whatever it is that your total revenue or your total processes of revenue is coming from 20% of work. Do we know that 20% of work? Do we have a different strategy? Do we have a tier listing of being your A class clients versus your B class or C? Do we treat them all the same? Is there some type of proprietary or priority measure that you take for your A class clients? Is there something that you do that you're doing differently with them? Do you have a list? This is something I find the most mind-blowing to me, is that most sales rep doesn't have a list of 10 to 15 to 20 of their top referring clients. I'm gonna let that sit there for a minute, because that shows us that we're going out there just trying to do anything and everywhere. We hear from our higher ups, we need more sales, but we're just trying to fishing at, just scraping at anything we can, when we already have made the connections, we've already done the work. We're not going back and following up on a regular basis. We're not doing our best to be able to see, hey, there may be one client that's doing 10, 15% of the work for you guys, but you guys wait for them to call you. You don't go out there and continue to educate on all the services that you can do. You don't go out there and show and educate them in different ways of how you can be useful, where it doesn't have to just be about what you guys can receive, but how you're actually helping them, how it can help them and their measures of whether it's loss ratios, how much money is spent, how fast you can get the job. These are things that you can actually, push towards as an advantage rather than it being a detractor. These are the things we can do for you guys because we know what you guys have done for us in the past. And it becomes a very much a give and take, where now it's not just a job, but a true relationship that you all have garnered. And then that relationship can go into something that can be beautiful going forward. Sean?
Yeah, and that's where you have to just, it's crazy to think, when you go back and look at this number, 91% of customers said they would give referral. But how often are we asking for those? And it's not just you in sales, it's everyone from your team, from your office staff that's dealing with your customers on the phone, to your production, crew chief, project managers. Are they truly asking, for that type of relationship, for those types of referrals? I mean, even when you look at your day-to-day, even breaking it down as simple as insurance agent, Pat Haskins, who's been doing extremely well up in La Crosse, Wisconsin, he's doing a lot of education learning sessions where he brings in lunch. Some of you call them lunch and learn. And he's really, if he goes into a Farmers or a State Farm or an Allstate, what other agencies in your network in this region might benefit from something like this? And yeah, a lot of them are going to be competitive, but just simply asking is such an open door, and it's so much easier getting a warm handoff versus walking in somewhere and saying, starting from scratch. So, I think, we grossly underestimate the referral strategy and the referral process, especially with adjusters, anyone that's referring commercial losses or getting that foot in the door. It can really make a big difference. I mean, another example back to Pat Haskin, who we work with on a regular basis, he had just landed all of the public housing authorities in Wisconsin simply because almost a year ago, he cultivated a relationship with a pest control company. And I think it was such an untraditional measure, but the pest control company was going in and doing bed bug treatment, and they needed an option for cleaning after the bed bug treatment. And Pat kind of worked his way in and built his way up in all these different housing authorities. And this is a very difficult sector of the market to get into, but he just kept building reputation. And now they've had consistent work because of that consistency, that follow-up. And there's he just called me yesterday and got a massive agreement, I think in 6 different counties, because he literally has been working on this for almost 6 months. So how many follow-ups do you think were in that process before he got to the point where now he has an agreement to be a preferred provider for all of these different housing authorities? So the consistency works, but many of you listening right now, many sales reps I've worked with, they give up. They just give up. They think, well, I'm not getting a response after this and that, then I'm done. I'm going to give up and I'm not going to keep going. Kenndrick, you want to pick up here?
Yeah, 100%. So the next part of that is we don't want to give you guys any fluff, right? Let's be real about this. Let's be realistic. And when we get into the numbers, we show on average that it takes a sales rep to anywhere from 6 to 10 months to actually be profitable, right? And that's because there is such a turnover in this industry. That is because they feel as though there's another guy, right? They're not someone who's out there actually preventing actual value add to you guys' potential clients. That's not going to help anybody, right? So it takes time for people to be able to build trust, because in this industry, we know, what are we selling, right? We're not truly selling anything, but the fact that myself or whoever the sales rep is that's presenting themselves, and the trust that when something is as bad as it can get, right? The worst day of you guys is live. That's the person that they'll be able to trust and know they'll be able to have my back and have the resources to take care of anything that I need, right? So a lot of times we fail to realize how long it actually may take. And I think this is something that we do a great job is in setting up the expectations, right? Because a lot of people say, we got a new sales rep, they're going to do this, but that's not how it works, guys. Let's be real on how we do this, right? And what I spoke about previously, retaining current customers is 6 to 7 times less costly than acquiring new ones. We're talking about margins here and efficiency, right? Wouldn't it just be a more of a smart strategy just to continue trying to build up the clients that we have, see what they may do, ask them for referrals? Now we're letting them become something that's part of our ecosystem, where we're continuously building and building from connections inward to outward. And these are the things that can really get you guys to the next level. It's so much harder trying to obtain new clients every which way that look inward sometimes. Look at what you've already done. Look where you come from and where you are now. And that really helps you in the point of where you can position yourself and where you're going next, right? A lot of people always say the past is the easiest way to predict what's going to happen in the future, right? So 78% of salespeople who are using social media outsell their peers. Do you guys have a social media strategy? I know you guys may have, us doing some of your social media work, but how many things do you guys put out there yourselves? Do you speak upward of your brand? Is there something out there that you have where there's a true strategy behind it, or are you just posting to just post something out there to say that you did it, right? Is there something that you're using towards to engage the potential client from either B2B or B2C, where you're actually able to have almost a positioning of yourself that separates you from the next franchise who's doing restoration, right? These are the things that we need to be looking at, because we seem just talking about it, but the actual data and how you can apply these things to be able to put yourself in a different stratosphere. So now that you guys aren't just the sales rep, you guys are now the trusted individual. When somebody has something, you can be the what I always say is the Batman with the utility belt. I have a resource, even if I can't do the job for you yourself, I have the resources for you. Let me be able to have that phone call for you, ease your pain, and be able to make sure I can get you directed to the proper place to make sure you're taken care of. Sean?
Yeah, so when it comes down to when is the best time to prospect, this is just some kind of general information, and I don't want to be discouraging by this and say this is the only way to look at it. But they say statistically the best time to cold call, which prospecting somebody new, is between 4 and 5 p.m. And I was kind of shunned by this data but it does start to make sense, because typically at this time of day, people are kind of decompressing. They're kind of ending their day. Typically in the morning, first thing that somebody gets in the office, they're answering emails, they're extremely busy. So this, again, doesn't mean that you're not trying to continue to prospect, but you might be focusing more on people you already have relationships with outside of these hours and being more aggressive with your cold calling between 4 and 5 p.m. They say Thursday is the best day to prospect. Wednesday is the second best, but every day can be a prospecting day. So don't allow that to discourage you, but look at these as like the optimum times to score, the optimum time to get results. Because you look at Thursday and Wednesday, again, you're in that middle threshold of the week. Monday's busy, Friday, they're ready for the weekend, right? If it's a typical 8 to 5 type person you're prospecting. So, look at the psychology of your potential of human beings in general, and make sure, because, one of the most annoying things, especially if you're going in and you're saying, hey, I'm with ServPro, we do fire, water, mold, or I'm with ServiceMaster, I'm with whatever company you're with, it can be a very big turnoff. And this is another session that we're going to be talking about, and I've talked about this before, is how are you bringing value to when you're prospecting? How are you going in and giving them something that makes them want to engage and be a part of working with you. And unfortunately, many of you on here have seen this. You've hired people, or maybe you've been a victim of doing it yourself. You're walking in with a business card in hand and you're saying, hey, I'm so-and-so with XYZ company and we do this and blah, blah, blah. And you're throwing up all over them. And again, that is a massive turnoff. I get probably 50 phone calls a day of people trying to sell me capital or technology or something new. And I hang up on them within the first 5 seconds if they open with that pitch. You've got to get creative. You've got to change your messaging, and you've got to be a value add if you're going to make positive results.
Yeah, exactly that. So the whole don't show up and throw up thing, right? Everybody's done it. I've done it. I mean, I was a sales rep once before starting out, and that was what they told us to do. You know, that's what I was able to find out from, you know, SerproNet and everywhere else that, you know, that they had, that, you know, you go in there with a card, pamphlet, and I'm just giving you information that I'm reading off. That doesn't do anything for anybody. A lot of times you get maybe 1 or 2 nice interactions, but after that, they're tired of seeing you, right? It's something that has to be in the value add, which is why we love to say we out educate and out care, because we actually are the ones out who are really doing something. What new information are you giving your clientele, right? And I think it's a great way to do something that doesn't take very long, 30 minutes to an hour. If it's creating your own sales plan, right? It doesn't have to be this long, drawn out thing. I think sometimes the more concise, the better. I don't like a whole lot of fluff. So, you know, create a one sheet. It's unique to your vision and your strategy. What is something that you, and I like to even better more than just doing an overlay like that. I like to have a specific segment. What area in your business do you want to grow this year? Right? Is it somewhere? It may be reconstruction. It may be we didn't get as many water jobs as we intended to. Maybe it's trauma. It may be anything that is a vertical that you're using, but it was stagnant in compared to the rest of your business, right? So what you want to do is actually create some form of plan of how you plan on actually getting that action, right? What's the goal? Is it just this huge mega goal of 500,000, a million, 5 million this year? Let's break that down. Let's make it easier on the eyes and easier to consume, and say instead of, you know, 1 million we want to make at the end of the year, let's say in the first month we want to make 100,000. That means 25,000 within a week. These type of things makes it easier for you, the rest of your crew, to look at and say, man, you guys are out of your mind with that type of goal. Once you break it down, it becomes easier and more digestible, right? And do you understand the true ROI of the role that you have within the company, right? I love what Sean always says, but it takes about 3 to 5 times what you're making on the multiplier to be able to actually be a benefit to your company, right? So are you someone who's milking the clock? Are you somebody who's just out there just, you know, being there? Or you're actually an asset to the company, bringing something, bringing true value, actually building up the company, building up the foundation from what you're in? A lot of these things can be, you know, determined a lot more easily, I should say, with just doing smaller things like weekly objectives, the documentation of your follow-up. That means not just having a spreadsheet or Excel sheet, but have something that's actually built to show you all the different categories that you're really, really entitled for. And those are the things that you can focus more heavily on. What activities are you using? I love when Sean says the amount of ERPs he was able to do. And I love the fact that my strategy that worked was totally different. I didn't do as many ERPs as Sean did. Sean was an ERP master, but they capitalized the market because they had an ERP on just about any significant business that was around there. Where myself, I was more on the lunch and learn side because I found that the strategy that worked best for me was building true relationships. Being the person who was okay with getting those phone calls, easing the pains of that grandmother or the elderly person, and say, you know, I will be there. Don't you worry. And those things are what, you know, got my reputation out there as, hey, this dude cares. He's not going to just show up here one day, get to sell and be gone. Be able to track those things. The tracking doesn't always just lead to, on the spreadsheet, it says I'm doing this. No, go out there to the people as well. Gauge the information that you're getting. Is the communication cycle the proper way? A lot of times things can get mixed up from the administration to the tech side, and it's just a gap in communication to making sure we understand what we're truly looking for, right? Social media. How many of you guys, like I said previously, are using your social media in a tangible way, something that can actually be quantified, right? Let's not just go out here and just, you know, throw things at a wall and see what sticks. Let's be strategic in how we're doing this and how we plan on being able to almost mechanize that into something that's creating and generating revenue for yourself. Sean?
Yeah. So let me go. Sorry, just moving screens here. But just remember, overall, consistency matters, because I put that poll back up there. I'm curious to see, like, how many times do you actually reach out to a prospect before giving up? And I'll share that in a few minutes as many of you put your answers in there. But this is really comes down to the importance of accountability. And again, this is a very a lot of times, if you're in sales, or even if you're a sales manager, director of business development, you have to be accountable to somebody. And even at the top, even when you own a business, the accountability is still, if you're not accountable to certain people in your life, then there's no support and there's no guidance to get to where you really want to be. So,
and Sean, even to that point, just a second, even to that point, I feel as though there's more accountability when you are at the top, right? When there's no one else looking at you and you make all the decisions, I feel like there's more accountability there, actually, because you have to, one, look that person in the mirror every day and say, am I doing everything to better this business and for the dream and passion that I had when I first started it, right? Well, that's one. Secondly, which I think is the big one, is all of your subordinates, everyone's underneath you, are counting on you to have vision and focus and goal setting to get you to the next level. Those paychecks need to be paid. People are depending upon you on a regular basis. So the higher up, a lot of people assume that they have less accountability. But for myself, just being in those situations, I can actually tell you that I feel as though the accountability measure is even higher, because there's so many people depending upon your vision, your goal, your passion, your determination to be the first step in something that can then pull the pack. Sean?
Yeah, absolutely. And just the results from the poll you guys just took, it looks like many of you are hitting 6 times or more with prospects that haven't given you business. So what I think we need to do, Kenndrick, is we need to have a webinar in the next few weeks that focuses on where do we go after so many visits, because I know with some of our clients that we work with personally, that's a big issue. Is like, I've been there 5, 6, 7 times. What do I talk about? Where do I take the conversation? What can I do so I'm not bothering them, not annoying them? And I think that's really where some of the creativity needs to get to with how to handle that. So, when it comes to accountability, you need to ask yourself these questions, especially if you're in sales. What are you responsible for? So many times we look at this blanket like, oh, I'm a sales and marketing rep. Okay, well, what are you responsible for?
Right.
Well,
What are you
at the
doing?
end of the day, if you're in sales, your job is to drive revenue. How much revenue? Do you know what you're costing the company? Do you know what you need to sell at minimum so the company breaks even for your base, your vehicle, all the other expenses that go into hiring you? Do you want to be a liability or an asset for your company? Who do you report to? And I've seen this a lot. A lot of you, whether you're in management or you're a sales rep, who are you daily talking to? Who are you being accountable to make sure that even if you have to set out your own path, if you work somewhere and you're on this call and you don't have guidelines, make them for yourself. Say, this is what I want to do for the week, and then tell somebody, because if you don't tell somebody, nobody else knows, and hold yourself accountable to what you're asking. Walk up to somebody and say, hey, this is what my sales plan is. Can you hold me accountable to this? And again, it just shows professionalism. It shows determination to want to get there. Did you accomplish everything you wanted to do? How much revenue did you sell and collect in this time period or this month? These are all things that factor into that accountability process. And remember, this is what we're going to expand more on in the future for you guys, is everything needs to revolve around being an education company in the restoration industry. And again, Correct. If you're in a different industry, it's the same principle. If you're not providing that value, why would anyone want to work with you? Why would they call you?
No, that's 100% right. And that's why we say we out-educate and out-care. Because if you're not the go-to resource in your industry, in your area, I'll tell you what, there's jobs happening all around you, and people are going somewhere else. And that's just the true harsh reality of it. And we have to realize that if we're not out there being the education go-to in your area, someone else is, and someone else is garnering those relationships, and someone else is reaping the benefits. Why not you, right? Why not be able to invest inside your sales cycle or your sales unit, and really be able to push the fold, push the model to seeing exactly where you can be and where you should be at this point. education is everything in this world, because in the restoration industry specifically, it changes so often, right? It's something new from either corporate or either way. But the guys have to make sure that you are focusing. Number one, is the fact of education out of everything. And I'm trying to tell you, those are where the relationships come from, because when they don't have the answers, you become the person with the answers. And that's where I've seen the greatest potential of growth for any type of restoration company.
Yeah, and that just shows right here. I mean, majority of you say you have an accountability system in place, but there's still almost 30% of you on this call right now that are saying you don't have accountability. And a lot of times this is something, even as a business owner, they don't realize the importance of this for sales and even for your own benefit. Again, we're not talking about micromanagement. We're talking about thriving and holding yourself to the systems and processes to get to that level of consistency. So, I think this is something, even if you have accountability, how can you step that up to different levels to make it more precise? And again, it really works. I can tell you, even as a business owner working in this industry, from the corporate level down to the franchise level, it makes a big difference. And when you take it away, things start to scatter and fall apart, and momentum starts to drive backward. So I do believe that, even if you have a system in place, how do you enhance that? How do you make it just 1% better, and keep making it better? What activities can we add in that we're not doing that might get us better results long term? So we're going to kind of wrap up here. I got a quick video from one of our clients, because one thing that we do, and I just kind of want to share this briefly. This is not to do a sales pitch or anything like that for you guys. But we created a program, and it's very intimate, very small in terms of who we work with. But if you are struggling, and whether you're a sales manager, you're looking for more guidance on how to build an effective sales team that thrives, or you're a sales team that doesn't really have direction, accountability, and those things in place, we kind of offer two different programs that help guide through that. And I can tell you, we launched this last year, and when Kenndrick came on board, we have had amazing success. Like I mentioned, Patrick Haskin is already on track to surpass what he sold all of last year. He hasn't even been in the industry for a year yet, and he's rocking and rolling. Jenny Mayfield, who you're going to hear from on a video in a second, has already sold over $100,000 this month, of the month of January, and she had her first $500,000 sales year last year. And her and her family have been in the industry for a while. So systems and processes are definitely working, but where we come in is really to factor in with that consistency, accountability. But at the end of the day, the determination factor, you have to want it. We can't make you want to be determined to be successful. We can't make you want to make more money by driving more sales and making more commission. So I think it's something definitely that you can, it's definitely something that we can help you with. Even if you just want to set up a no-cost one-on-one call to get some direction, we'd be more than happy to do that, because we do believe in providing value first as well. But I want to go ahead and play this quick video from Jenny Mayfield. And if you are interested in even just doing a one-on-one to kind of dissect, it doesn't make you obligated to work with us or anything like that. Just go ahead and click yes there. I put a sarcastic answer there for no, so don't feel bad if you have to pick no. We're not obligating you guys to sign up for anything. But I just want to play this video. This is directly from somebody that we work with, and her family has a lot of experience in restoration, but I hate these types of things because it talks about working with us, but this was a very sincere remark from Jenny Mayfield that I wanted to share with you guys.
Hey there, my name is Jenny, and I just wanted to give a little bit of feedback on how great tier level is. Sean and Kenndrick are amazing to work with. We have been working with Sean for years and years and years for his training and mentoring program, and getting to know Kenndrick has been amazing as well. He is so humble and down to earth when it comes to training and teaching you what you need to know and guiding you so you don't feel like you're in the wrong direction or moving in a lane maybe where you should be going left instead of right. He is very good at guiding you and giving you the knowledge and perspective you need, because in this industry or in marketing in general, it's not easy, and you will get the highs and the lows, and he is so good at getting you where you need to go, and not only on a business level but on a personal level. He really strives to get to know you, so he knows how to guide his trainings on that one-on-one or in the lead training. So this way that it's not just you're a statistic in the room and you're getting harped at and this is what you need to do. Both Sean and Kenndrick both really do try to gear everything toward you and the success for you and your team. So I would say hands down, if you are without a doubt, use tier level for this. I can't say enough good things about them and how great they are. They've built my team up. They've given them the structure they need. Not only have they been able to give them information that you wouldn't even think about, you go down this path every day and you might not know, hey, how do I talk to a restaurant, or how do I get in with a property manager? They really give you some great ideas to think outside the box. So it's not a stuffy meeting. So you're not pushy. You're not going down their throat being like, use your company, use my services. Like, you don't want to be robotic. They don't do that. They truly gear everything so you can be a successful person, successful team, successful business. So I hands down recommend tier level. I hands down recommend Sean and Kenndrick. As I mentioned, they really try to get to know you on a personal level and a business level so you can be successful with your team. And I think that's what really makes them a strong company, is that personal structure they really do strive to provide. So good luck and enjoy spending time with them and getting to know them, but you are making an absolute amazing decision if you do decide to move forward with tier level.
So I just wanted to kind of end with that real quick, just because, we've worked with Jenny for a little while now, and just seeing the results is what really matters. And that's what matters to us at the end of the day, is we want you guys to be successful. And it doesn't mean you have to, work with us financially. We will give you as much time as we have available just to converse. And that's why I love doing these one-on-ones, because at the end of the day, we don't want to ever cost anybody money. We want to set you guys up to thrive and to be profitable and grow your businesses, but as well, just make you individually a stronger, more successful individual. So I want to kind of open it up real quick. If you guys have questions, mine and Kenndrick's email are right there as well. If you email us, I'll make sure you have our cell phone numbers as well, because you are welcome to text and call us at any time. But if you do have any questions right now, go ahead and put them in the chat box. And I know a few of you were commenting there. Scott Green had to jump on a plane real quick, but we will be sending out the presentation, even though, like I said, it was very high level, very basic, but we are going to be expanding in some of these areas. But does anybody have any questions right now that they would like to for me or Kenndrick to answer? And you can go ahead and put those in the chat box. Quiet, everybody's shy today. Kenndrick, did you have any other closing points you wanted to add as well?
No, I think you were spot on. Definitely would like to, please feel free to email us. I have plenty of time to be able to do a one-on-one. Again, no obligation at all. If you want to just speak to one of us or both of us as a team to be able to exactly gauge where you are and see if there may even be a need, or see if there's some different strategic ways you may not have thought of yet to be able to grow. We have no problem at all to do that. I love to sit down and strategize about how I can help your team out, and that's what I love to do. So please, I do really appreciate you guys' time today. It means the world to us just to even have you guys up here for a bit. But please reach out to us. We are not going to bite. We're very, very friendly people, and we just want to let you guys know we're here to help. We really want to make your sales unit an asset, not a liability. Let us know whatever you guys need, and we're here. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, we got a couple questions real quick. The first one's from Andrea. Yeah. Do you guys primarily work with franchise companies? Primarily, we do, but it's the system is the same regardless if you're an independent, if you're in different industry. This is, and at the same time, we always want to make sure that it's a good fit. So we do spend a lot of time before we even officially start working with somebody to make sure that the personalities, again, we're not here to cookie cut anything and just pat you on the back and say, good job. We want to make you successful. We want to make you a winning team. So we definitely work with franchise companies. Earl Randolph said, do you assist on building a sales team? Absolutely. So we work with a lot of the hiring. recruitment. We screen resumes. We set them up for you and your ownership to kind of go through those. So it does take a lot of that legwork out in terms of building the right team. So it's definitely important. Andrea also asked, does your system utilize a CRM? Absolutely too. I get asked the question all the time, what CRM to use? What CRM to use? There are a million CRMs on the market. Obviously, Salesforce, which a lot of corporate infrastructures mandate. We also work with a company called Badger that allows some really good field mapping. So we do customize what CRM works best for you or what you might be required to use. At the end of the day, all CRMs have value, whether the technology is better or worse. The point that you can document where you've been, timestamp it, what you need to follow up with are the basic components that are super critical on that. So absolutely, that's a big part of the consistency and accountability process is having a CRM in place, but not just using it because you're told to use it for the real value of what it's there for as well.
Right, exactly. Perfect.
Any other questions? Thanks, Jed, for the comment. Appreciate it. Thanks, Tammy. But yeah, I mean, like I said, if you're interested in just learning more about what we do the no obligation one-on-one. I know many of you just signed up for that. We will send an email out today to schedule a time to do that with myself and Kenndrick. That way you can ask questions and be a little more particular to what you're looking to accomplish in your local market as well.
Yep, thank you.
We have a couple more minutes.
Andrea, for the question. Thank you for the, who else asked a question? Earl, thank you for the question. Tammy, thank you for the nice words. Jed, always great information. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you too. Anything you need, I'm here for you. Thank you, guys. Steph, let's see, Stephanie. Okay, all right, driving now. Thank you, guys. I do appreciate it, though. I really do. Thank you for the warm words. Let me see who else is chatting. I love the fact that you guys are really chatting in here. I appreciate everybody who actually put something in here. I love to hear you guys' voices. Appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Lori, all right, guys, you guys have a great rest of the day. And like I said, if you need anything, just feel free to reach out at any time.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Take care.